So, in this lecture, we will discuss financial ratio analysis, one topic that we discuss not only in accounts but also in finance. And all the students who are working in accounting and finance area need to understand how to use various ratios for the understanding of a financial statement. So, the objective of this lecture is to understand the meaning of various ratios used in analysis. This is important. Before working on calculation, you should be aware that what is the sense behind a particular ratio. Uh, we will give you a simple calculation that how we calculate various ratios. We can compare company performance based on the available data. It is also possible that we can compare company performance with other companies of similar industry. This, of course, will not be covered in this lecture, but once you are quite familiar with the ratios understanding, then it is possible that you can apply these ratios at various places. We have to compute ratios with the help of the financial statement. Uh, let's say we have a 1 year data, we can apply calculation on that year. If you have 2 years data, then you can calculate ratios on both the years and then compare firm performance. We also take different financial ratios and uh, check the trend of the company, whether company performance is improving, it is declining, or it is showing a cyclical performance. This is also possible that once we have calculated a ratio, we can compare the company's ratios with the industry averages to understand where companies stand as compared to industry. Generally, this is not a fixed criteria, but this is a recommended approach that you must classify ratios in various activities like liquidity ratio, asset activity ratio, leverage ratio, coverage ratio, profitability ratios, and finally the market value ratios. So broadly speaking, when you are taking any ratio, it is better to classify it in different categories so that you can understand that if you are focusing on any particular area and you have to assess company performance in that particular area, then what kind of ratio might be used by a person. For example, if we are only interested in the profitability ratio, so what ratios are required to calculate the performance of the company in terms of profitability? If we are interested to see the asset activity of the company, whether the company is performing good in terms of assets efficiency or not, then what ratios will be useful? So there are two ways to apply these ratios. First, you should understand the broader range, and then within the range what ratios might be used to calculate different indicators. Like the first one, when you understand the ratio, it is possible that you can apply and check the company specific performance, and you can compare company performance in last years, months, etc., and you can also compare company performance with the industry benchmark. So whenever we discuss liquidity, in liquidity we are actually assessing whether company can pay its obligations, its liabilities when it is due or not. So there are three ratios which are quite popular. The one is current ratio, the second one is quick ratio, and the third one is working capital. In current ratio, we take all the current assets of the company and we divide by current liabilities. For illustration purposes, we are given these two information. If company assets are 400 and liabilities are 253, then the answer will be 1.58. Look, that if company has more assets as compared to its liabilities, it means that company can pay these liabilities with the help of these assets. So that's why when current ratio is given, we say that how many times company has current assets to pay its current liabilities. If it is more than one, it means that company has more assets as compared to its liabilities. Quick ratio, when we calculate quick ratio from the current assets, we generally minus inventories because inventories are difficult to sell, and if you are trying to assess company liquidity, this is much better to minus inventories, because most of the time it is very difficult to sell inventory on an immediate basis, and if you try to sell it, then sometimes you suffer losses. So when we take current assets and minus inventories, and then we divide by current liabilities to check what is liquidity position of the company. So look, still company has more assets as compared to its liabilities. That's why the answer is coming 1.03. It means that company has sufficient assets to pay its liabilities. Working capital simply show that how much capital will be required to operate your business. So we simply take current assets, we minus current liabilities. So the difference is 147. This is showing that this is the fund which will be required by the uh, owner to invest in the business, or by the company to invest in the working capital to operate their business. If we compare company performance just on a arbitrary basis and based on the 2 years data, of course the data is not available here, but just giving you an idea that if industry average was 2, last year company was as 1.98, and currently the company is at 1.58. It means that company performance as compared to 2015 is somehow declining. Company does not have sufficient assets to pay its liabilities as compared to what it has in 2015. And as compared to industry average, their position is quite down. In quick ratio, industry average is 1. We were far better than industry average, but now we are somehow closer to industry average. So this is the way to present the data, and this is the way through which we can analyze where company stands. So compared to industry average, our position in quick ratio is satisfactory, but in terms of current ratio, we need to improve this area. Asset activity means how company is managing their assets, how efficiently they are using their resources, and whether the assets they are keeping, they are able to convert it into sales or not. These are the objective to work when we take asset activity ratio. In asset activity, there are many ratios that might be used. Generally, we take receivable turnover, which is divided into two components. Then we take inventory turnover, which is also divided into two components. And there are two ways to assess assets. The one is fixed assets, and the second one is total assets. In receivable turnover, we are interested that how many times you are able to convert your receivable uh, into cash. So see that in credit sales, the company has total sales of 1080, and their average accounts receivable for the year is 234. It means that whatever sales they are making, they are able to convert into receivable 4.62 times. This is showing that in how many uh, times company is able to collect its receivable. Student generally, uh, as per my teaching experience, I understand that it's difficult for students to understand the answer in terms of times. So it's better to convert this 4.62 times into days. So if you are unable to understand this, then it is possible for you to convert it into days. Later on, I will show that one. But right now, focusing on this one, that if you are only interested to find out answer in times, that how company is keeping their receivable compared to their sales, then you can use this formula. Carefully see that whatever answer you will take, the similar answer we will use over here. We will take the annual year. It's up to you. You can take 360 or you can take 365, and whatever answer you calculated in the previous slide, you will divide 360 by 4.62. So this will give you a conversion in terms of days. So this is showing that in 78 days, company is able to collect its receivable from its uh, customers. Again, showing you in the uh, coming slides that this is much better to convert turnover into days. So there are two very popular ratios. The one is receivable turnover, and the second one is inventory turnover. Look previous one. We took the credit sales divided by receivable. So whatever answer we are reaching, we are using the similar answer to calculate and convert it into days. This is another approach in which we can directly calculate the days rather than working in two different forms. In this, you can do it. You can take the accounts receivable, multiply by 360 and divide by credit sales. Then you can directly calculate the result in terms of days. Once you will apply the uh, data in this formula, you will again get the same answer of 78 days. This is inventory turnover. It might be calculated by both the ways. Either you can use cost of goods sold, or as I mentioned here, it is also possible that if cost is not given, then we can use sales data in this formula. So either depending on question data, whatever information is available. Again, see that in inventory turnover, we are actually trying to calculate that how quickly company can sell its stock. And as answer is coming 4, it means that in 4 times company is able to sell its stock. Again, it's difficult to understand this 4, so we are converting it into days. So it's up to you. Either you can take 360, or as I am showing it, you can also take 365, depending what instruction given in your textbook or these given by the instructor who is covering the subject. So whatever answer you are getting in inventory turnover, uh, look on the previous slide. We got answer of 4. The same 4 we are using over here. So when you divide 360 or 365 by 4, 90 days. This 90 days is showing that company is able to sell their stock in 90 days. Direct calculation, again you can apply this formula. You can take inventory, multiply by 360 and divided by cost of goods sold. Then you can straight away get the answer which we are calculating here, that is 90 days. Fixed assets turnover, showing how efficiently you are using your fixed assets and converting it into sales. So we take sales data and divided by the net fixed assets that you have. This is showing 1.44 answer. Of course, we will not convert it into days, but this is showing that how efficiently we are using our assets. Remember, this 1.44 cannot be uh, compared unless you have previous year data or the industry average. Then you can understand whether your efficiency of utilizing your fixed assets and converting into sales is better or not. In total assets turnover, we take sales and we divide by the total assets. Remember that in total assets we are covering both current assets as well as fixed assets. So this is showing uh, the 0.94. So again reminding you that 0.94 is, we cannot say this is good, this is bad, this is satisfactory. It is purely depending what was company performance in the last year, and what is the company performance as compared to its industry average. When we take all these things, then it is possible to assess whether company is giving right information or not. Now check here. Industry average, day sales outstanding. This is important. Again, repeating it here. Day sales outstanding is showing that in how many days company is collecting receivable from customers. So on average, industry is collecting their receivable in 60 days. In 2015, we were collecting our receivable from customers in 91 days. But now we improved and now we are collecting in 78 days. Day sales in inventory is showing that in how many days we are selling our stock. So industry average is 88. In 88 days, on average, industry is selling their stock. We were taking more time as compared to industry, but now we improved and now we are taking 90 days to sell our stock. Fixed assets efficiency, industry average is 1.53. If this is higher than this one, it means that we are more efficient as compared to industry average. But in the current year, it is declining. It means that our efficiency of utilizing fixed assets as compared to industry is somehow declining. Total assets turnover is using in the similar pattern. 1.16 was the industry average. Our position was much lower as compared to industry. We were not efficiently using our total assets, and compared to last year, our position further declined, and now we are at 0.94. I'm closing this lecture over here. Just review all these points, and if you have any comments, please give me your feedback. And in the next lecture, I will cover the leftover ratios. Hope that you will enjoy this lecture. Stay blessed.